Now at 9, after a woman's body found in a camper in Carthage last year spurred a cross-state investigation, a 4-state man is sentenced in the case.
A state commission is asking for public comment on Liberty Utilities fuel adjustment clause filings. I'm Samantha Walker, and I'll have that story coming up.
I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing.
Casualty figures are growing along with international outrage at Russia's latest attack on Ukraine. Dozens were killed and more than 100 injured when Russian missiles slammed.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A criminal suspect is taken to the hospital, and 2 Jasper County deputies are on administrative leave following an officer-involved shooting. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The injured man is 43-year-old Gavin Newton of Joplin, and we don't yet know his condition. But here's what authorities say happened. Jasper County deputies were dispatched to investigate a domestic incident in progress yesterday on County Road 70. According to the report, when they encountered Newton, he was carrying a knife. They ordered him to get on the ground, but he charged at the deputies. They tased him twice with no effect, and then one deputy shot Newton. Authorities say the deputies administered medical aid until EMS arrived. Newton is now charged with domestic assault and assault on a law enforcement officer. The Missouri Highway Patrol is now handling the investigation. A Kansas judge sentences a Jasper County man in connection to the murder of his wife. Today, a judge in Miami County, Kansas, sentenced this man, Gavino McJunkins-Mashis, to 10 years and 3 months for the charge of second-degree murder. McJunkins-Mashis pleaded guilty to the charge earlier this year. The charge stems from June of 2024 when officers in Carthage, Missouri received a 911 call stating the body of a woman was found inside a camper in the 600 block of North Main. Authorities identified the woman as Kenya Lopez of Carthage. The investigation revealed the crime had taken place in rural Lewisburg, Kansas, before the victim and the camper were driven to Carthage. Authorities arrested McJunkins-Mashis. Prosecutors charged him with second-degree murder in Kansas. And on the Missouri side, McJunkins-Mashis was charged with abandonment of a corpse. That charge is still being adjudicated. The Missouri Public Service Commission is accepting public comment on a request by Liberty Utilities to change the company's fuel adjustment rate. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on what customers need to know.
You have just days left if you want to make your voice heard to a proposed change to Liberty Utilities' Fuel Adjustment Clause. A Fuel Adjustment Clause is also known as an FAC. According to the Missouri Public Service Commission, the FAC requires regular adjustments to reflect changes in prices the company has incurred for fuel and wholesale power purchased to serve customers. According to testimony Liberty Utilities provided to the Public Service Commission, the proposed change would also enable the company to recover the difference between energy costs built into its base rates and the total energy costs actually incurred. According to that testimony, Liberty's FAC was undercollected by roughly $1.3 million in the last 6-month period reviewed. Liberty's FAC is reviewed every 6 months. For the average Missouri residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours, their electric bill would increase by roughly $2.24 per month if the requested FAC change is applied. Customers should know this is separate from Liberty's electric base rate increase request to the Commission, which proposes to raise rates by over 29%. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Public Service Commission is accepting those public comments through this Friday. You can learn how to submit a comment on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with the first look at weather.
Well, it actually turned out to be a pretty good Monday for us today. Cooler than what we saw over the weekend, but still temps right where they should be for this time of the year. 69 was our high, started at 57. 69 is our average high for this time of the year. Looking outside, so mild to warm most of the week, so it looks pretty good. We are going to get a few showers in here Wednesday morning into Thursday morning. The winds will really start to pick up again on Thursday and Friday, and then a severe threat moves in once we get into late in the week, especially as we head toward late Friday. 57 in Joplin, 55 in Pittsburgh. It is going to cool down tonight, so 55 to about 60 across the region, and those temperatures will continue to drop back. Have some clouds kind of working out. So eventually we'll have clear skies. Kind of cold tonight. We drop back near 40 degrees. We're going to look at that thunderstorm threat here in a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, officials in McDonald County, Missouri are finished counting votes from last week's election. Today marked what many hope is the end of the process, the certification. The verification board met today to officially certify the results. Now, this process included a random selection of precincts to be manually counted by a bipartisan team of election judges. Now, one race to note in Goodman, Missouri, the certification process follows after two candidates ran for both mayor and alderman, with Clay Sexton winning both races. They can't have both positions, so Sexton will be the new mayor and then appoint an alderman of his choosing. Well, the race for the mayor of a Branson area town takes an interesting turn after none of the candidates on last Tuesday's ballot could muster a majority of votes. Instead, a write-in candidate is now the mayor-elect. Adam Woodbury spoke with the county clerk about what made this election in Reed's Spring so unique.
Soon the city of Reed Spring, Missouri will have a new mayor at the helm. Three people, Jimmy Leach, Melissa Freeman, and Brian Bailey, all ran for mayor, but they lost to write-in candidate Barbara Hoke, who walked away with more than 62% of the vote. Stone County Clerk Denise Dickens says April elections almost always feature write-in candidates.
They find out who's running for mayor or running for an alderman position, and maybe they don't like that person. We hear that quite often. Somebody doesn't like somebody, and so they come in and declare themselves a write-in.
So while getting a write-in candidate is quite normal, Dickens says what happened in Reed Springs is not. The city had two races for Board of Aldermen members open. Those went to Linda Jansen and Steve Rogers, both write-in candidates as well.
Write-ins are not something new to the county clerk's offices. It's just that this was such a unique race at the city of Reed Springs. So it's drawn a lot of interest on this one here.
Mayor-elect Barbara Hoke was contacted for an interview but declined at this time. Well, coming up, office air.
So do you ever feel like you look terrible at the end of a workday? Well, you might not be alone. I'm Alexis McAdams in New York. I'll have more on how your office air could be impacting your looks coming up next.
Plus, could your screen time actually be good for your brain? A new study turns a popular belief about tech and dementia on its head. That story coming up.
Cardinals baseball live
7 a.m. Plus, have you ever looked in the mirror at work and wondered, did I leave the house like this? Now, according to a new trend, you didn't, and the office air phenomenon is to blame. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams shows us why some say your look fades as the day goes on.
As hours in the office tick by, workers' looks deteriorate according to a new TikTok trend.
I'll do my hair, I'll do my makeup, I will put on a nice outfit, and I always feel like by the end of the day, it's like I had not done any of those things. My makeup is almost completely gone, my hair has fallen, and I just generally feel very uncomfortable and gross.
Accountant Hope Doherty is not alone. Employees across the country blaming the office air phenomenon for drying out their skin, making their hair frizz up, and melting off their makeup long before 5 o'clock hits. The theories pointing to extreme heating and air conditioning and a lack of fresh air.
Air may be recycled, recirculated, so the air tends to be very dry, so not a lot of moisture in the air, not a lot of humidity.
Add in fluorescent lighting.
Keep in mind that if you're taking a look in the mirror trying to do selfies at work, the lighting is not great. So when you have artificial light, really harsh fluorescent lightings, it's going to look like you have more of a washed out or pale appearance.
Office air not only impacts how workers look and feel, some say can also affect their performance.
If you don't feel good, you are not as focused because your mind is being diverted to think about how gross you feel. You are not as confident, and that is very important in a workplace, especially for women.
Dermatologist Susan Masick says while the air might be dry, it's not toxic, adding there are additional factors to consider, including long hours, blue light from your computer, and stress.
Stress can make a huge impact when it comes to your skin, how you're feeling, and it can be work stress, it can be work-life balance stress, it can be lots of different stressors. And then when you're stressed, the increased cortisol levels, you might find that your regular skin conditions, whether you have eczema or psoriasis, are much, much worse.
But if you're experiencing symptoms of office air, Dr. Masick says it can be prevented with a simple skincare regimen.
Typically, you want people to have a good moisturizer. It helps replenish the moisture, hydrate the skin. You want to make sure that you're using a daily sunscreen because you can have ultraviolet light exposure, but also the high energy visible light, which can be associated with fluorescent lighting, computer screens.
So you have to go to work, but what can you do when you get there to prevent this? Well, doctors say stay hydrated, drink plenty of water, avoid too much caffeine and energy drinks, and take a walk. Reporting in New York, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
One new study is challenging the idea that technology use harms our brains over time. Researchers looked at data from 57 different studies involving more than 400,000 older adults, and instead of finding a higher risk of dementia, they found the opposite. Older adults who regularly use technology had a 42% lower risk of developing cognitive impairment. Experts say this supports the idea that challenging the brain, even with screens, could help keep it sharp. But they also warn not all tech use is created equal. Mindless scrolling still is not doing us any favors. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, tea time for a good cause. A popular tournament hits the green today. How it's helping support those on the road to recovery.
This Thursday for
tonight at 10:30, right here on Fox 14.
Markets get a brief boost after the White House announces smartphones and other electronics will temporarily be exempt from new tariffs on Chinese imports. But officials say the reprieve may be short-lived, with products like phones and computers still on the table for future tariffs. It's part of a push to bring semiconductor manufacturing back to the U.S. Critics call the tariffs a hidden tax on Americans, warning they could double the cost of tech products and rattle markets even more. According to members Trust Federal Credit Union, scammers often ramp up their schemes when people are feeling financially uncertain. KOAM's Lonnie Walton found some ways for you to protect yourself.
I talked to a couple of four-staters who says they were scammed before, but they say next time they're going to be a little more careful.
A lot of times, and I've had that happen at least 3 times, I bought a product that was misrepresented.
Web City David Butler says he's been scammed one too many times.
Health goods, stuff like that, vitamins, stuff that they'd misrepresent.
Butler says sometimes he didn't even get the product, and that's what happened to Web City resident Caleb Rowland.
Basically, I kept sending the dude money. I ended up sending him like it was close to $200 I ended up sending him because I thought that I was going to get like a big payment in return.
With economists talking about a recession due to tariffs, this could be an opportunity for scammers, according to the Better Business Bureau.
Anytime there's chaos, anytime there's confusion in the world, in the markets, scammers are going to try to take advantage of that.
But Hernandez says there are ways to protect yourself.
Sort of unsolicited offer, unsolicited text message, anything that you get, research the source and be careful with sharing any kind of information until you're able to verify it.
Butler's keeping an eye out, so what happened to him last time hopefully won't happen again.
The last one was like $73 that they got me for.
And according to experts, if it sounds good to be true, it probably is. Reporting in the 4 states, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
According to the Federal Trade Commission, scams increased 25% in 2024 compared to the previous year. And a warning for some Southwest Missouri college students. Campus security at Missouri State University says they've seen an uptick in Kia and Hyundai car thefts. Authorities say thieves specifically target these cars made between 2012 and 2021 due to a vulnerability in the ignition systems. Springfield police say these incidents are isolated on and around the campus.
Not going around to like checking all the doors. They're going specifically to those types of vehicles. And so they're going to the Kias and the Hyundais specifically and getting into those cars. It's not like they're going around the lot seeing how many cars they can get into. This is that particular car they're going to.
Even if you're not an MSU student, if you drive either of these types of cars, consider using a steering wheel lock. Park in well-lit, high traffic areas and make sure your windows are closed and your car is locked. And remember, If you see anything suspicious, report it. Well, up next, residents engage with local officials at the Council in the Park event in Joplin. Residents gather at the Joplin Athletic Complex for the informal Council in the Park event. Community members ask questions, share feedback, and engage with local council officials. Now, local officials answered questions and collected ideas.
We're all people too. We're just like they are. We've just chosen to do a public service in our community and know that we're regular people and we can listen to their concerns, and we're concerned about the same things.
The next session will take place on July 14th at Cunningham Park. Residents are encouraged to come and participate. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Coming up, a deadly strike in Ukraine sparks global outrage as President Zelensky urges Trump to take a stand against Russia's escalating attacks. And President Trump backs El Salvador's tough stance on crime, but his plan to deport even legal residents could face legal challenges.
Big Bang Theory tonight at
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. May 7th is the start of America's new ID program. The White House wants to make sure you're ready. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
The Real ID deadline is coming, but is America ready? The Trump administration is making a big push to remind people to check their IDs before May 7th. That is when federal officials will start looking for either a small star or a small flag on your driver's license or ID card to make sure it's compliant with new rules that enable information sharing between the states and the feds.
That information is not going to be any biometric information. It'll just allow people to get an ID that they should be on our planes. They should be people that are United States residencies.
The biggest difference for Americans will come at airports. You'll need a real ID to board a plane, and if you don't have one, you can expect big delays.
I mean, people could show up to the airport and not even be able to get onto their flight, which would be terrible.
Homeland Security says they're getting close to universal compliance in states that were early adopters of the Real ID program, and they're expecting to see similar numbers nationwide.
We already have 81% compliance of all travelers already have a Real ID and already use it. So that's why TSA is working so hard to educate people ahead of the deadline.
DMVs across the country are now reporting long lines as folks scramble to get their new IDs ahead of the deadline, and some are worried they might be out of time.
I just got here. I didn't really expect too much of a wait time, but they said it's about 3 hours to get the Real ID, so I'm going to have to come back on a different day.
If you can't get a Real ID by May 7th, TSA says you can use your passport to board domestic flights. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
El Salvador has become an integral part of President Trump's immigration crackdown, and today the country's president paid a visit to the White House. Hanging over the meeting was the unknown fate of a migrant mistakenly deported to the Central American nation. Now, President Trump praised El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele, calling him a key partner in fighting crime. El Salvador has taken in hundreds of deported migrants, many accused of violent crimes or gang ties. The practice faces criticism, especially after a man was mistakenly deported and ordered back by the Supreme Court. Trump says even legal U.S. residents who commit violent crimes could be sent to El Salvador, a move that could face legal pushback. Well, at least 34 people were killed and 117 injured in a surprise Russian missile attack on civilians in Ukraine gathering to mark Palm Sunday. Fox News' Greg Palcott has more from London.
I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing.
Casualty figures are growing along with international outrage at Russia's latest attack on Ukraine. Dozens were killed and more than 100 injured when Russian missiles slammed into the city of Sumy on the morning of Palm Sunday. Among the dead and wounded, at least 17 children. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky now calling on President Trump to visit Ukraine and take a firm stance against Russia.
Every Russian ballistic missile strikes not only our people, but also diplomacy and the political efforts of everyone who is trying to bring this to an end.
But Moscow is pushing back against allegations it deliberately targeted civilians. A Kremlin spokesperson saying, quote, "Our military strikes only military and quasi-military targets."
We have been keeping the word, and Ukrainians have been attacking us from the very beginning, every passing day.
The attacks came just 2 days after Special Envoy Steve Witkoff held talks with Putin, and NATO allies say that timing isn't a coincidence.
I hope that President Trump, the U.S. administration, see that the leader of Russia is mocking their goodwill.
The president admits it's been more difficult than expected to get a ceasefire in place, but claims he's making progress with both sides.
It's a deeply seated war. And again, it's a war that people didn't expect would start.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is now in the process of evaluating Russia's conditions for a ceasefire. In London, Greg Malcon, Fox News.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later, making space history.
T's 3, 2, 6 women made history as they took a one-of-a-kind space flight. I'm Kelly Severi in Van.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. Temperature is pretty good, upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Looks great out there right now. Nice shot of our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam. Winds have been dying down, which is good. It was very windy yesterday, but still kind of windy for us today. Temperatures outside sitting mainly into the mid to upper 50s. We'll drop back near 40 later on tonight, but the winds have kind of died down, which is kind of nice to see, and we're not going to have to deal with super windy conditions as we go through the next couple days. Clouds kind of working out, so we have the clouds during the afternoon into the evening hours. These are pushing out, so pretty much clear skies behind this storm system rotating eastern third of the country. Out toward the west, we have the beginning chunks of energy, which will start to affect us really kind of starting Wednesday, lasting into the weekend, several chunks of energy. All right, so by morning, down near 40, a couple upper 30s. I think we'll stay above that frost level. Sunny skies through the morning. Should be near 60 by noon. Tuesday is going to be a little bit cooler than what we saw today, but still very nice. 63 in Monette, 66 at Grand Lake, 66 in Pittsburgh. Much of the same in Parsons. Still pretty much clear skies tomorrow night, but a few clouds to kick off the day on Wednesday. Have a weak little wave that's going to try to fire off a few showers late morning into the early afternoon, kind of pushing through, especially along and north of I-44. Maybe a rumble of thunder, very scattered, not a big deal. These push east, but once we get into Wednesday night, we're going to see some showers and thunderstorms trying to refire again. These don't look too strong or severe, but still, of course, something we'll keep our eyes on. Kind of pushing through during the night, some hit and miss storms into Thursday morning, and then they will exit the region. Will really warm up once we go into Thursday afternoon. 43 to start, 59 by noon. High temp, 65 degrees. Let's go later on this week. In the yellow, at least a low to moderate chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. Kind of suppresses to the south on Saturday, but we're going to be on that northern fringe. So we got to watch that to see if it shifts any farther north, and then expands in again late Saturday into Sunday morning. Of course, Sunday morning is Easter Sunday. Let's get a look at it. Friday, mainly dry until late afternoon. Here's our front. Showers and thunderstorms expand in as the front sinks south. Most likely sinks into our southern counties, but it's going to stall somewhere across the region. Wherever it stalls, periods of showers and thunderstorms through the day on Saturday. And then as that more unstable air works back in Saturday night into Sunday morning, another chance for some strong to severe storms. Not Tuesday, 65 looks pretty good, 72 on Wednesday, 82 Thursday. So we get back into the 80s Thursday and Friday. With it, the thunderstorms lasting into the holiday weekend, which of course, well, if you're doing Easter egg hunts, I know eggs are like $30 a dozen.
Yeah, almost.
Maybe dodging some storms. So.
Yeah. Well, and you don't want to put like too much fresh stuff outside if it's going to be raining too. So use the plastic eggs. Save some money.
They're a little cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Skywatch weather app. Well, city officials in Diamond, Missouri want to remind residents that a citywide cleanup has started today and will run through next Monday. And there is a dumpster available at the city lagoon. Residents needing to use the dumpster after business hours need to schedule a time, though. For more information, including a list of items prohibited from being dumped, just head over to KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, coming up in sports, a couple of Missouri Southern golfers receive all conference honors from the MIAA. Plus, Diamond High School softball plays host to Lamar. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Enter the Vita Nova Village Car Show May 3rd.
First responders.
Diamond High School softball is coming off a state championship in 2024, and about a month into the 2025 season, the Lady Wildcats are showing they have plenty of potential to repeat as state champs. Perhaps a preview of the district championship next month, as 7-4 Lamar faces 16-1 and defending state champion Diamond tonight. The Tigers start red hot. Briley Duncan rips this pitch into left field. Kelby Wolf hustles home and slides in safely. This is part of a 4-run top of the first for Lamar. Tigers not finished there. Top of the second. Bailey Rawlings hammers one to deep center and way out of here. That home run gives Lamar a 6-0 lead. Now we go to the top of the fifth. Wolf slices one down the line in right. That drops in fair. Rawlings scores another run, and the Tigers are up 11-1 on the defending state champs, but Diamond would rally. Bottom of the fifth. Hot shot off the bat of Paige Marbrough. Rolls under the shortstop's glove all the way to the wall. Kenzie Crook scores easily, and after an errant throw, Marbrough comes all the way around to score as well. Wildcats score 7 runs to pull within 3. Now we go to the bottom of the seventh. Lamar up 2 out. Lexi Stephen gets the swinging strikeout to end it. Lamar goes on the road and earns a huge win over Diamond. Final score 11-9. The 2024-25 MIAA women's golf season is coming to a close quickly. The conference championship is happening right now in Kearney, Nebraska. And coinciding with that, all MIAA teams get released this morning. A couple of Missouri Southern Lions get featured on those lists. Sophomore Katarina Chinaranska is on the second team. Senior Lily Allman receives third team honors. Here's a look at the individual leaderboard after 2 days of competition. Everyone's got 18 more holes to play tomorrow. In total, 68 competitors from MIAA schools are participating. Northeastern State's Sam Maselli stands alone in first place at 11 over par. Chinaranska is leading the way for Southern. She's in 11th place at 16 over. Marin Harlow 3 strokes behind in 28th place. Allman is at 32nd at 20 over. And as we show you the team leaderboard, Central Missouri in a pretty comfortable spot in first place with a 9-shot lead on everybody else. Southern is in 7th place with a team total of 75 over par. The third and final day of competition starts tomorrow morning at 10. Over to Major League Baseball. Tonight, the Royals get their first shot at revenge against the Yankees, who knocked them out of the playoffs en route to a World Series appearance last fall. Unfortunately, that's not quite how things end up going in the Bronx. The Yankees hit 3 home runs in the bottom of the 5th inning alone. They go on to beat the Royals 4-1. Then in St. Louis, the Cardinals, they smoked the Astros. Final score 8-3. Great day at the dish for Nolan Arenado. He goes 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run. Back to some of those softball games I was talking about. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a rematch between Lamar and Diamond in this district championship game. They're in the same district. They're 2 very good teams.
Yeah, be a fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks, John. We're back with more news after this. Today, 6 women made history as they took a first-of-its-kind flight to the edge of space. Fox Business' Kelly Sabiri is in Van Horn, Texas, with more on their maiden mission.
2, 1, ignition. An emotional and out-of-this-world moment as 6 women make history as the first all-female crew launched into space on board Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket.
Welcome to space, ladies, or shall I say, astronauts.
Pop singer Katy Perry, journalist Gayle King, and Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, among the women blasting off from West Texas. The 10-minute and 21-second mission took them just past the threshold of space, reaching an altitude of nearly 347,000 feet, experiencing weightlessness, getting a glimpse of the moon, and peribelting What a Wonderful World hovering above Earth.
It's not about me. It's not about singing my songs. It's about this wonderful world that we see right out there and appreciating it.
On the ground, an emotional Oprah watching her best friend, Gayle King.
I have never been more proud of my friend than today.
Once the capsule landed safely on Earth, Bezos opened the hatch, the women emerging grateful to be back on solid ground.
Let me just appreciate the ground for just a second.
These trailblazing women say this flight was more than just a joyride.
We advanced science today.
Sanchez says since spacesuits are designed for men, they commissioned special suits for the women to wear on this historic mission. In Van Horn, Texas, Kelly Saberi, Fox Business.
From Sonic the Hedgehog 3 to Green and Gold, we run down this week's new digital, DVD, and music releases. That's up next. A popular blue speed demon, a romance-obsessed serial killer, and a Grammy-nominated artist are among the new digital, DVD, and music releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
The popular blue speed demon races to the top of what's new in home entertainment. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 features Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles teaming up to protect the planet against the mysterious villain Shadow.
Happy V-Day!
Get killed, all right? What?
The rom-com slasher Hard Eyes centers on two co-workers fighting for their lives on Valentine's Day after being mistaken for a couple by a romance-obsessed serial killer.
I will make a little wager with you. The pack go all the way. I will give you another year interest-free.
A fourth-generation farmer and his granddaughter place a daring Super Bowl bet on the Green Bay Packers to save their farm from foreclosure in the drama Green and Gold.
Let's focus on the mission.
Can we even call this a mission?
Chase Stokes and Lana Condor star in the military thriller Valiant One, about a squad of American soldiers fighting to survive after their helicopter crashes in North Korean territory. The Brazilian drama I'm Still Here tells the true story of a mother and activist who charts a new path for herself and family after her husband disappears during a military coup.
Where are you going?
We're going to Svolta.
A family vacation to a remote Swedish island takes a dangerous and unexpected turn in the British comedy horror Getaway.
Let's go!
Small screen favorites to own. Season 2 of the spy thriller Special Ops Lioness, starring executive producers Zoe Saldana, Nicole Kidman, and Morgan Freeman. For music fans, Grammy and Golden Globe nominated artist Wiz Khalifa brings back the mixtape energy and nostalgia with his new album Kush and Orange Juice 2.
What they say, don't care what they say.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of the world's oldest gorilla celebrating her 68th birthday at the Berlin Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.